I made a few secret art goals in the beginning of the year, and one of them was being less wasteful with buying art supplies, especially considering the fact that I have stacks of barely touched or even unopened art supplies in my closet, and a tendency to get more because I'll test it for a video. So I decided to have a no-buy year or a low-buy year for art supplies, and I'll explain what I mean by that, what my rules were and how it went, while showing you some footage of all the art I made this year. For me, this wasn't a challenge of bending over backwards to not buy anything at all, or making everything from scratch once I run out of something. The reality is that when you actually use your art supplies like paints or watercolor paper, you eventually run out of them, and I will replace the things I want to keep using. I did this more so because I have lots of supplies I've gotten because of the idea of being able to try it out for a video. I've either bought them myself or gotten them as gifts from family or as free product gifts from companies in exchange for making a video. This came from the idea that I needed to do a different type of project for each video or even blog post back before I started my YouTube channels. Testing and reviewing and showing people how to use a certain art supply or set is a valid video format after all. By now, I've already accumulated a good collection of the supplies I need over the years, and for any hardware tools that I don't have but might need for my art, I often borrow tools from my mom. So instead of buying new art supplies this year, I wanted to make do and used up the ones I have, and also continue using recycled art materials where I can. My rules were that I could still buy replacements of supplies I've run out of and buy new supplies I absolutely need. The supplies I bought this year were a replacement for my white gesso I had been using for 8 years to prime different materials for painting, and an oil painting varnish to finally be able to seal my oil paintings. I was also allowed to buy art supply gifts for other people, specifically for my nieces and nephews. I'm writing this video a bit before Christmas, and already for Christmas last year I noticed I could find art books like painting and drawing tutorial books and hand guides second-hand from the reuse center pretty easily. They also have a crafting and art supply section which I could use for art supply gifts or replacing my own supplies I've run out of. But the stock they have is limited, so they're not going to have things like the gesso and varnish I mentioned earlier, but they might have acrylic paints and brushes, for example. I've also previously found frames and canvases and other materials to paint on second-hand, both paid and free. And I do also re-gift or give away some of my art supplies that I don't need or have much use for to my nieces and nephews if I think it's something they'll get more use out of than me. I have been moving towards not only handmade but also second-hand Christmas presents in general. However, if you really want to avoid buying any art supplies new and you're willing to put the time and energy into it, you could look into tutorials for making your own. You can use natural earth pigments to make paints, you can heat wood to make charcoal sticks, or find recipes to make gesso, for example. Now, I did mention this to my mom a few times during the year that I don't want to buy or receive any new art supplies unless it's something I really need and I've thought it out well in advance. And she still got me one art supply set, which I have not opened yet. Coincidentally, I really didn't make art videos trying out new art supplies this year, even though I still have ones I've gotten previously and haven't tried yet. I've started moving a little more towards making the art I want to make, and planning the video content around that, and also making very basic how-to videos with the supplies I already have, using and showing the techniques I like to use, or learning new techniques too. I just did not end up trying many of those unused or underused supplies I have in my closet, but that's something I'd like to change next year and get to some of them before they're dried up and unusable. Because I do want to continue minimizing the amount of new art supplies I buy. But if you see me making videos about trying art supply X or Y for the first time, it's not necessarily me failing my art no-buy year. I've also been on a journey to figure out how to digitize more of my traditional artwork in better quality and doing it using the tools I already have or finding other free ways to do it. One of these things was to use a bigger high-quality art scanner I found at a library for free. The other was figuring out how to take apart bigger stretch canvas paintings to be able to scan them in parts with the small scanner I have. Because I do plan on using that scanner to the ground, which is what I'm doing also with many other gear and tools related to making art and filming and digitizing my art. I'll get new ones once I'm forced to. And the one I was forced to replace this year was one of my external hard drives since one of the previous ones broke. I will admit I waited too long to get a new hard drive, and it caused me to lose a bunch of scans of my artwork, photos, video and audio files that I didn't have backups for. And I'm probably due upgrading my camera soon too. I also didn't take on any free gifts from companies this year because there was nothing in the ones offered to me that I felt like I really needed or would be that beneficial to my target audience. The thing with accepting free gifts from companies in exchange for a video is that you often end up doing more free work for them than the gift is worth. And then you might need to pay taxes on it too, depending on where you live. So unless it's something you actually need and can keep using in the future too after filming that video, it might not be worth it. I have accepted and received and made videos on multiple free products like that before, and I'm still using some of those supplies to this day, and I probably will accept more again in the future. I just didn't accept any this year. I did get sponsorship offers too this year, but they didn't really align with this channel or were completely unrelated to art or any of my topics, so I didn't take them. But if you want to know how I refocused and got more productive after a few slump years with art and this channel, watch my last year's end of the year video here. See you there. Happy New Year!